This is a follow-up presentation on finding the 5 pillars in a chart. We just had a webinar on the subject, and I thought I would just do a little bit of a follow-up on how to calculate the 5 pillars. We're going to work with Mae West's chart. Actually, we have the chart here. And I'm just going to do calculations. We're not going to do any kind of interpretation or anything, just plain math and motion. Okay, so the first one we're going to find is the lot of fortune. And Valens says about the lot of fortune, whence the lot of fortune and the spirit will have much power over the imposing and turning back of actions. For the one shows the matters concerning the body and handicrafts, that's fortune. The spirit and its ruler matters concerning the soul and the intellect, and action through discourse and through giving and receiving. So I like to equate fortune with the road that we take towards fortune. It's the road that we are attracted to. It's the path that we find ourselves attracted to that leads us to our fortune. And spirit represents the person traveling. So as you can see, it says rules matters concerning the soul and the intellect, and actions through discourse and through giving and receiving. So soul, intellect, discourse, so we're talking about the mind and we're talking about behavior. So let's first find the part of fortune, or the lot of fortune. So we find the lot of fortune by taking the distance between the sun and the moon. By daytime, we go from the sun's position to the moon's position. By nighttime, we go from the moon's position to the sun's position. The sun is below the horizon. Remember when we were talking about diurnal versus nocturnal, the sun needed to be in this region above the horizon in order to find that, in order to find a diurnal chart. So now we know that the chart is nocturnal because the sun is here below the horizon. So we're going to start from the moon's position and go to where the sun is. So the moon is at, we'll round this up to 3 degrees of Cancer. We'll take it 30 degrees forward to 3 degrees of Leo, and then go another 23 degrees to 26 degrees of Leo to find the sun. So whatever we do with these lights, we now do to the ascendant. The ascendant is at 25 degrees or 26 degrees of Taurus. So we go 30 degrees forward to 26 degrees of Gemini, and then we add another 23 degrees. 26 plus 23 is 49. 49 minus 30 is 19, right? There are 30 degrees in each sign. So 19 degrees of Cancer. So we were at 26 degrees of Gemini, and we had to add another 23 degrees, which took us to 19 degrees of Cancer. To find the spirit, we reverse that formula. So we go from the sun's position to the moon's position. This way we can go backwards. So 26 degrees of Leo can take us back 60 degrees to 26 degrees of Gemini, and forward 7 degrees to 3 degrees of Cancer. We now do the same thing with the ascendant. 26 degrees of Taurus goes backwards to 26 degrees of Pisces, and forward 7 degrees to 3 degrees of Aries. The next place that we will find is the place of exaltation. When the nativity is of good reputation and the exaltation or the ruler is well situated, the offspring will be exalted by command or by political or royal rulership or by some other reputable trust, and the ruler itself and the zodion will foretell the kind of success from its own nature or from the nature of the zodion it is set upon. We use the exaltation specifically to help us to find fame in the chart. So there are 3 steps that we need to do in order to find this. First step is figure out if the chart is diurnal or nocturnal. We know already that the chart is nocturnal because the sun is below the horizon. We then take the light of the time, and those of you who remember our webinar and my other video know that the light of the time, if it's nighttime, is the moon. And we move the moon to the position of its exaltation. So if you aren't familiar with the exaltations of the sun, of the planets, the moon's exaltation is Taurus and the sun's exaltation is Aries. In this case, we're moving the moon backwards 3 signs, Cancer counting as the first sign, to its exaltation of Taurus. Cancer 1, Gemini 2, Taurus 3. We now do that exact same thing with the ascendant. Taurus is the first, Aries is the second, Pisces is the third. So the place of exaltation is in Pisces. Our next position or pillar is called the acquisition. We have also found the 11th place from fortune to be an acquisitive place, a bestower of belongings and goods, and especially when benefics are upon it or are testifying. The 11th house historically has always been connected with gain, among many other things, and certainly this is a place where the connection between Vedic astrology and ancient Western becomes very apparent. So this should be very easy to do. The part of fortune is in the sign of Cancer. We don't care about the degrees, and we'd either go forward 11, right? If Cancer is 1, Leo 2, Virgo 3, Libra 4, Scorpio 5, Sagittarius 6, Capricorn 7, Aquarius 8, Pisces 9, Aries 10, Taurus 11. So that would be the place of acquisition, Taurus. We can also go back 3. If we go forward 11, we can go back 3, starting at Cancer 1, Gemini 2, Taurus 3 brings us to the place of acquisition, Taurus. The last of our 5 pillars is called the lot of basis. And this comes from my own material. Everything else that I've read from comes from the actual Vedas Valence material that I have studied. The lot of basis represents the native's ability to produce or sustain the apportionment of fortune allotted to the native. It is also the main motivational foundation of the lot of spirit, and thus is the basis upon which the native chooses his or her path of action. Spirit and basis must always be used in conjunction to best understand the workings of motivation and action. Taken together, they can weave a story that rests somewhere between self-destruction and self-preservation, as the spirit may motivate, but the lot of basis must support that motivation. The lot of spirit may describe someone bent on destructive behaviors, but the lot of basis can emphasize it or hide it by either allowing benefits to go to waste or providing damage control. So, in order to find the lot of basis, we need to find the distance between the lot of fortune and the lot of spirit using only the smallest arc. So it has to be, the arc has to be under 180 degrees in order for us to be able to do it. So, or even smaller than 180, but whatever is the smallest arc. So as we can see from here, the arc between Cancer and Aries is 270 degrees. That's a pretty large arc, right? But the arc from Aries to Cancer is 90 degrees. So we will go from the lot of spirit to the lot of fortune. So we're at 3 degrees of Aries. That takes us 90 degrees forward to 3 degrees of Cancer, and then we add another 16 degrees in order to get to 19 degrees of Cancer. Likewise, we do the same thing with the ascendant. So from 26 degrees of Taurus, we go forward 90 degrees to 26 degrees of Leo, and then another 16 degrees. So 26 and 16 is 42. So, 26 and 16 is 42, so that brings us to about 12 degrees of Virgo, and this says 10 degrees of Virgo, so we're pretty close, but lot of basis is at 10 degrees of Virgo. This is Antoine Gard from Ancient Sky. Thank you so much for tuning in to this little mini presentation, and I hope to be speaking with you soon.